Hey everybody, it's Jason Moreno here with Mindset U podcast. To the right of me over here, it's to the right. I think it's to my right or left. I don't know, whichever way. To the other side of me, baby boy Rances, aka Mr. Roboto. Today's episode is all about how everything's fucking make believe, and you have to make things on your own and set your own path. Fuck the rules, and do what you want. Do what your heart desires, kind of thing. I said kind of thing. I didn't say and stuff like that. I'm gonna keep this in here because I'm trying to be a better person. I need to be held accountable. This is called self-awareness and growth, guys. I'm grinding my teeth right now. I might go fucking give Ashley a dead leg in her sleep later. I don't know. Just kidding. I would never touch my wife like that. Anyway, don't forget to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts for the short amount of time that it's there, because then it's going to switch to YouTube TV,
Music.
YouTube Music. I was close. I listen. And don't forget to check out VidaProject.com for a whole bunch of other important stuff. Let's just start the conversation. You were talking about your job the other day, and you had mentioned that you were talking about it with your friend, and let me know how that went.
So, so basically, is I guess you got to understand the background of this. Where I I've been a entrepreneur for my whole life. So before that, I worked in a restaurant, but it's been I don't know 15, 16 years of me learning all the ins and out of business. And to me, is like, as an entrepreneur, I've always felt like, I can do anything. Like, you know, I know all the skills of all the angles and everything, and then combine that with like what we do for our work is coaching. Like, I can influence anyone, right? That's literally the skill set. So to me, I see everything as like it's all a game. Like, it's all make believe. Like these titles and whatever, and especially as an entrepreneur, like, oh, I'm the CEO of VidaProject. Just decided that one day. It's like, and then people like, oh, CEO. It's like, what, really? I think Elon Musk mentioned that he made up a title for himself. He's not the CEO of SpaceX. He's like top exuberator or something silly.
Yeah, whatever you want it to be. That's what it is.
Like, it means nothing. So that's my perspective on like all of this. So then, I had a friend where he asked me, how I'm doing, whatever. I'd say, oh, I just started a new job, which is a corporate job, and I have a position which is like a regional business development, and I have all these centers, and I'm leading sales teams and all that. So my friend responds to, yo, how'd you get that? Don't you have to go to school for that? And that really, like, just angers me because, like I said, it's all make believe, right? So to me, that shows kind of how much you believe the rules of the game, the rules that have been told to you.
Yeah, but we're conditioned, you know, from a young age that, from school, I guess, right? From school is always like you gotta do this, you gotta do this, and then you do this, and then you get this kind of thing. And I don't think many people are afforded the opportunity that you see as an entrepreneur, and just the kind of mindset that you have. You know what I mean? So like, I get why why it angers you, and I can't wait for you to actually expound on it to see if what I'm thinking, what angers you about it, is what it is. But I just think that, even like, I thought like that for a long time until you guys, you know, um, just being raised by, Spanish parents where it's like you work hard and you'll get stuff. And that's how it is, you know. And you still have to work hard. It's just a different kind of work. And it's just the different steps you have to take, I guess.
Yeah, but that to me is that's the key idea is like, yeah, still work, you're still developing, you're still all of that.
Yeah.
So for me as an entrepreneur, learning all the different elements to make my business successful, not through some educational platform or through like working within a company, but on my own, meaning that my bread and butter depends on my own skill set, is a lot more valuable.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot more, you know, there was a bunch of times where I was worried I'm not going to be able to, buy food for my family.
Yeah.
My performance depends on that, like directly. It's not like, oh, someone's holding out my pay or whatever.
It's
It's like,
nobody to
no,
blame.
my action, 1 + 1 = 2. It's like there's no numbers in between. So for me, that idea is like, I don't need like someone else to validate that for me, to say, oh yeah, this is, you deserve this. So here's a diploma because now you've gone to business school or whatever. And I know it could sound arrogant, especially to someone who has spent so much time in that. But I also have like, so I was sitting in a few business classes in where was it? What's the school in New York City? The Ivy League.
Columbia,
Was it
um,
Columbia?
that's like the big one. NYU.
NYU. It was NYU.
Okay.
Yes, NYU. So I was sitting in this. It was these business classes. Um, they were called like entrepreneur business or something like that. And I was sitting throughout like a semester, um, attending these classes, and I was just listening to the stuff that they're talking about, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so like so theoretical, you know, when I've lived it. And again, I know it's coming off very arrogant, but it's the honesty is when you're sitting there, you like, for me, I never was good at math or anything like that. I had to figure out how this computes so that it can take care of my family. Then as we hired people, how do we take care of people? Then as the bills get more complex and we have more overhead and everything, like figuring all of that out, because otherwise you pay the ultimate price. Like that's how I figured it all out. Um, so what upsets me about it is that, like you said, you're kind of indoctrinated in this idea that is like, this is the only way, you go through this route, you receive this piece of paper by these people who've decided that they're the authority,
Hmm.
and now everyone recognizes that as the authority, and that's the only way to move forward. And that's frustrating because all of that was created to streamline learning from people who actually experienced it.
And what's wait, so
So,
like, I'm confused by that just because I'm a little stoned.
so when aren't you? When aren't you,
I
Jay?
finished work, all right? This is my second job. I took my little break. I had a little snack. I smoked a little joint. Leave me alone.
um, what I mean by that is like anything that you studied, anything that you study is based off of someone you're studying
Yeah,
or some experiences that happen in the real world, right? So if you want to be a veterinarian, you're going to go and study all about anatomy in an animal.
yeah,
Yet years ago, someone had to cut the animal in half, and be like, "What the hell is this? Let's label this." And it all came from someone doing the
yeah.
actual thing, and now we put it into to streamline the effect. But now that the fact that it's become that is the only way, and the actual experiential way is less valid in someone's mind, is frustrating
Hmm.
because it's backwards. There's
Okay,
it's That's what it is, completely backwards.
okay. Fair enough.
So then now put that together with the idea that this education in this format costs tons of money and requires a bunch of opportunities that is not available to
Yeah.
everyone. Now it's like these opportunities are not allowed for certain segments or certain people. So now it becomes a class thing.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the whole framework. That's the whole mindset that makes me angry about it.
Okay. No. Yeah, no. I think that's fair. I think like looking back at going to school and like going to school for communications, which is a pretty broad subject to do because like you can do journalism, you can do PR, you can do all this other shit. And then like actually like, going into like the workforce and like working in news and then being like, oh, like they just hired a kid who was in high who just came like fresh out of high school. I didn't even have to go to college for this. I could have just start working. Who who allowed this? Like you know, um, stuff like that. And it's not one of those things. I'm like, oh, like he should have to go to school. It's like no, like why did I have to go to school? Kind of thing. It's like what I could have just learned on the job. You're just letting him learn on the job. That's we can do that.
Yeah,
Like I would have done this so long ago. I would have like
exactly. So
yeah.
then, like, going back to like, all right, my job, I got this job, and it's not just because I'm great and I just went and applied for the job, is because I have the right connections, I have the right knowledge, and I have the right experience, and I'm able to frame all of that together to see the opportunity. But I have the audacity to believe that I'm allowed this opportunity.
Yeah.
And that part is the part that it's like, no, 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 you're breaking the rules. It's not, it's what are you doing? So like that comment of like, don't you have to go to school for that? It's like, I've done better than school.
Yeah. 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 I actually did it. Believe it or not, like I actually did it. What school
And
wants you to do, I did it.
yeah, and I've seen that mindset hold so many of my close friends back,
Yeah.
right? That, like, you know like my brother-in-law, your friend, super intelligent,
Jorge?
super capable. Yeah,
Yeah.
like he has so much capacity,
So
but
smart.
the thing is like, oh, I didn't go to school, and that to me is like, that's saddening.
Yeah. Yeah. Hector, for somebody who I guess growing up, I was like, Hector has this unbelievable um charisma kind of thing. Like, like when we were younger, Hector's like, I'm the shit, blah blah blah. Hector he can do everything and anything and stuff like that. And then as he got older, to watch him sell himself short always blew my mind because he was always a smart kid. If you made it competitive, Hector was gonna try to excel at it. It didn't matter what it was. He's like, oh, I can learn that, and he'll just do it. And I've always admired him for that, which is so funny to watch him do like a 180 just because of school
Yeah,
kind of thing. Even though
yeah.
it's not like saying he's not doing well for himself. He's doing great for himself. Um, but I feel like Hector could fucking be a scientist if you fucking wanted to at the end of the day. Hector would be the funniest scientist in the world to me.
Yeah, but that's the key factor. So it's not like you said, it's not that he's not doing well, or
Yeah.
anyone else is not doing well. Is just the simple fact that you consider that things are outside of your possibility because of something.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's like, um, you went after it and you just keep seeing blocks.
Yeah.
It's more so that the mental block, the mental limitation is like, no, don't go
It
after it
doesn't even let
because
you
I don't have that.
try. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's, to me, that's super important to me. That's like a personal mission statement for myself, because like VidaProject, to develop people to be versatile human beings who thrive in life. That's our mission for VidaProject, and it's exactly that, in action.
Yeah.
So it's like recognizing that man, this is all make believe. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, please subscribe, like below, comment, let us know your thoughts, and continue to enjoy.
The more I talk to him, I'm like, damn, things are make believe. Like, as I go through work and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh wow, like they don't know what they're doing either. This is awesome. Like, this is great. This CEO, I'm like, doesn't know how to send a fucking document in an email. Awesome. This is amazing. Like,
It's funny. The other day on social media, I saw that. It was like a person saying, "I don't know how to send this. I don't know how to do this, whatever." And someone in the comment typed, "He must be the CEO."
yeah, somebody who's making like 10 times my salary.
That's right.
But it's just how it is. You gotta have the balls to do it. I think that's really, like you said, you have to have the audacity to like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it. Like, why not? What's the worst that can happen? That you fail? Everybody fails at something. You fail, that shouldn't hold
That's
you back.
that's a key factor there. That the fear of failure,
Yeah.
right? And to talk about everything's make believe. Like if you think about when you deconstruct the fear of failure, it's the fear of your imagination. Because what you go through, the pressure that you put yourself, that if I don't achieve this, if I try and I don't achieve this, this means this about me. And that pain that you start to envision in your imagination that comes from this so-called failure is so great that it's a mountain that can be overcome. Like that's that is the game, you know?
Yeah.
And we had for our renewed mindset early on in the very beginning of it, we had this rejection thing, right? Where we would have like the participants run around town and basically like try to sell a membership of VidaProject.
Okay.
So like basically completely cold
Yeah.
sales,
Yeah.
right? Because we were like, all right, this is going to put you in a position where like you have to be rejected. And it was super interesting because you go and obviously you get rejected after reject. Except now I want to highlight one thing, because for women they deal with less rejection, and I know that for a fact because the women will come back with like 10 names of all men that are like, yeah, I'll sign up.
Whatever you
You
want me
just
to
have
do,
to
I'll do
call.
it right now. I'll do it.
Yeah, all the men will come back with nothing. Like, no, everyone said no. But that was a thing that we used to do. That was one of the events we used to do, which was like rejection. Like get comfortable with rejection.
Yeah.
Go get rejected as much as possible. Because like once you start doing that, you start getting comfortable with rejection and failure and all of that. Now, what's your excuse for anything that comes up? What's your excuse? Like,
No,
you know?
I learned that like when I did stand up for a little bit before the pandemic, when I was going like open mics and stuff like that. Like the first few times, I was like, it's still terrifying. I can't say that it's not terrifying, but in the beginning, I was like, oh my God, what if I suck? This is gonna be, nobody's gonna laugh. This is gonna be the worst thing ever, kind of thing. And then like you do it the first few times and like nobody laughs or like one person laughs. And you're like, I got one person to laugh. Let's try to get two people to laugh. Now we're gonna get three, So it's just like you start working on little things, but then you also realize everybody else is kind of like on the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
And you see people like they just go and like they're not even listening. They're just so worried. They're writing in their notebook. They're trying to like get their act together. So like when they go up, so it's like, oh, like this is literally just practice. Like why am I setting this expectation like so high that I need to kill and I'm gonna be the funniest open micer ever? And then it's somehow I'm gonna become this famous comedian off of that. When you hear all these stories, they're like, dude, I was in it for 20 years before somebody like started picking up kind of
Yeah.
thing. So it's one of those things that it really is a mental thing that we do set these weird expectations because we're so scared of failure. That's like if we're not perfect, then you failed kind of thing. And I think
Hmm.
people don't realize that it's just it's a gradual climb, and then there's gonna be a dip and then it's gonna go back up again and it just keeps going kind of thing. It's never just like, a linear thing, I guess.
So I remember that time when right before the pandemic, you remember I was like, "Can I go watch you?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "No."
No, no.
But that was the reason, like why, like obviously you've always been hilarious and
Yeah.
all that, but again, the audacity to be like, I'm funny enough to stand up and
Yeah.
see if I can make a room full of people laugh.
Yeah. Rather
Like
get
I
punched in the
love
face. Yeah. Honestly, it's less scary to get into a fight. It's there's something about like when you stand up there and you're like, oh wow, it's so quiet. It's so there's just a spotlight and it's real dark. It's so
that.
funny.
You know, I just thought about this too because for you, there's, I was talking about like the career aspect,
Yeah.
and I feel like for you, that was also your story, right? Like you were in a job for a long time that you weren't happy with,
Mhm.
and I don't know if I'm wrong about this, but were you afraid to leave that?
Um, yeah, there's always a part of you that's afraid to leave like your comfort zone. I was like, this is what I know, this is what I'm good at. Why would I leave something that I'm good at kind of thing? And then it was like, cause you're miserable. And then it's just like, you keep outweighing like how comfortable you are with, all right, so like I'm comfortable and I'm getting paid more than I ever got paid doing this stupid job, but I'm way more miserable right now. And then I
Hmm.
realized like, oh, it's not worth the whatever money it is isn't worth being fucking miserable because you don't get to enjoy life. And you know, that sucks.
Yeah.
And that's what really made me change. But for a long time I was scared. I was like, oh well, if I don't have benefits, like what am I gonna do? Like what if I get sick kind of thing? And it's like, all right, you could still go to the doctor. You could still, looking back on it, it's like, oh, you could still do all these different things. But, you know, I just it took me a while. It took me more than I wish it took.
Hmm.
But now I'm getting to the thing of being like, you're in the place where you're whatever. It's a stupid hippie saying that. It's like you're this exact moment is where you are like where you're supposed to be at this time, blah blah blah, kind of bullshit. And a- and I guess it's just a coping mechanism at the end of the day. It's like, oh, it is what it's supposed to be, kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like you need to grab the reins and you need to navigate for your thing. This ship, you need to navigate your own ship. You need to fucking adjust the sails. God, I hate the fact that the boat metaphor works. That drives me fucking insane.
But because that during for many of those years,
Yeah,
you know, we can all tell you were miserable
yeah.
and you complain about work, and Mo and I would talk about it, like, and like, why does he just leave? And we would say to you, you'd be like, it's not that easy,
Yeah.
and all that stuff, and it's like that. That's the same. There's the same kind of reaction that I got with my friend saying that. It's like that makes me so sad. Like that is like you've. And by the way, this reminds me of a thing I really like how this describes everything. And Moses used to give me a hard time. It's like that's never gonna catch on. It's stupid. But it's like the idea of like a VidaProject. What we do, we help you break out of your cage, right?
Okay.
The cage that you build
Yeah.
up through those beliefs. Every belief, everything that like you were just talking about. There's a bar there that says health insurance. Then there's a bar there that says you know my income. There's a bar there that now says, oh, I have a car payment, and,
Hmm.
and all these things, and all of a sudden you're in this cage, and it's like you can't leave it. You know, but Mo used to be like, nah, that's stupid. Um,
It's not that
and I
bad.
was,
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
but like that's the whole thing. Like that again, it's all make believe, and all of these things are also make believe. The limitations are make believe. It's like the person that's making these things is you. And it's, so with that being said, like in theory, it sounds so simple. It's like, oh, got it. Let me just whoosh, break all this.
So much harder. It's so much, it's so much,
That's right.
you know.
By the way, speaking of stand up, have you ever thought about going back?
Oh yeah, I thought about going back. It's just that now that like Ash lives, now that we live together, we're married and stuff like that. Like and I don't work in the city anymore. Like the idea of being like going into the city now, I'm like, oh, I never do that anymore. So now I have to like make that effort to like start going into the city again. Because
There's
like
more resistance.
I think there's open mics around here, but it's a lot like at like poetry cafes and stuff like that. And I don't think talking about, my dad saying that pregnant pussy is the best pussy is probably the place for it. If that was my end joke. It's a really raunchy joke about, it's a true story. Long story short is that my dad said that his first ever threesome was with my mom when she was pregnant, and I was the other member of it. And that's why he always assumed I was gay, and that's why I have a dent in my head. So
Oh
sorry,
man, you're
listeners.
bad.
So yeah, I don't think that was meant for like a poetry cafe open mic night. Trying to know your audience, you know. But yeah, no, I do
Oh,
think about it all the time. Um, I do want to start making an effort to maybe in the winter, since there's like not much to do.
mhm.
Um, I'll probably start going in on the weekends and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it's something I want to start doing again. I still write. I still have little notes in my phone of when I think of something funny. I just really just try all my material on Ashley, and if she laughs or I offend her, I'm like, "Oh, I'm onto something," and then go from there.
So if we get like tons of listeners in the podcast, and then they all go to see you,
Is he like, why do
would
you gotta
that
take
be?
it there already?
Got to create the bigger fear,
Yeah.
bigger overcome it.
You know what, though? That doesn't actually bother me, kind of thing. I
Yeah.
think it's if it's like more like, so it depends on who the listeners are. Like if I don't know them, it doesn't really bother me. But when it's people I know, I'm like, oh fuck, you're gonna see this. That's
It's
when
like
that's when the fear kicks in. It's not like strangers. I don't care if strangers see me do comedy, kind of thing. It's more like seeing my friends watch me do comedy, and like, oh wait, maybe he isn't funny. I'm like, fuck, they know. Like,
so let me ask you something. Do you feel that same way about people coming to watch you box?
no,
No?
no, boxing doesn't bother me. Because boxing isn't it's an expression of me, but it's not like my internal. It's
Mm,
like I guess comedy is more like, oh, this is straight from straight from here and
your
here,
identity.
and it's what I find funny, kind of thing. And you could always be like, well, it's not for everybody, it's for me. And that's kind of bullshit, because the whole emphasis of comedy is that you need people to enjoy what you fucking do in order for it to work.
So are you saying like that part of you is like really connected to your identity?
Yeah, I
So
think
if
it's
that
just
gets
it's just a
affected,
more vulnerable thing. Like I don't mind people watching me fight, because it's either I'm gonna do well or I'm gonna lose. There's really, you know, no other way about it. But with comedy, it's like, oh, he could be funny, or oh wow, that wasn't funny, or ooh, I really don't like what he does, kind of thing. And that one I think hurts more. I think it's just more personal. So yeah, I guess it does tie back to like identity and stuff like that. But I think it's more of a being vulnerable
hmm,
kind of thing. You know,
yeah,
it's
it's like
like
a kind of thing.
it's kinda like when you're, like, singing in the shower and, like, somebody walks in, you're like, "What the fuck? What are you doing?" kinda thing. It's more like that, you know? There's been plenty of times my dad's walked in on me, singing in sync as a child, and, him just being like, "Oh, man, this kid's gonna be so gay." There's so many accounts. And it's also because my mom's like, "Dad, do it. You're the superstar. You can do it," kinda thing. "You're the best person ever," you know? the Spanish mom, you know, the only son of a Spanish mom, where she makes me think I'm invincible, kind of thing. Yeah, as a kid at least. Yeah,
And then your dad comes along.
man, he's like, "You're terrible." So gay. Yeah,
Is that our role as Spanish fathers?
yeah. You know what? I guess he was more like, if I was like, "Dad, I want to go play basketball," he's like, "You sure you want to go play basketball, bud?" And he's like, "We know how this goes every year." He goes, "You try out, you don't make it, you cry. I have to go to McDonald's. Why don't just go to McDonald's first?" Fuck dad. But what's funny, like with like doing like stand up and stuff like that, he was like, "Fuck yeah, I can see you doing that." That was the first time that I was like, "You you believe in me?" He's like, "I always believe in you, fucking idiot." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's true." Kind of thing. But that was the first time. He was like, "Yeah, I can see you doing that." And then boxing, he was like, at first he was like, "All right." And then he saw me box. He was like, "Oh, this little fucker's tough. Okay." And then
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. Because I tell you what he calls sense. Like my dad's super handy and like he's fixes everything kind of thing. And I didn't pick up any of that. And Ashley's super into fucking fixing everything. So he literally calls her his favorite son. The son he never had is literally what he calls his daughter-in-law. So
Oh man,
that's what I come. I think that's why I drift towards comedy so much, because I never had tougher critics, and like even my mom, like, so people who believe in me so much, the toughest critics in the fucking world. Nobody's more real than those people when they want to pick out something that they don't like. All right, everybody, that was another episode of Mindset You. I hope you all learned to make your own path, and just know everything's make believe and nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. So just do it anyway. Don't forget to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts before it goes to YouTube Music, and anywhere else that you can find us on social media and all those other places that you like to listen to podcasts. Also, don't forget to go to VidaProject.com. There's a whole bunch of important shit that you can listen to there, listen to, read, and other things. I'm just using adjectives right now.
VidaProject.com is where you find the resources to make changes in your life.
There you go. That's the better, more, the better way to explain that. And yeah, thanks so much for listening, guys.
And stay tuned to get the directions of Jay's stand-up.
Yes, that's never going to happen. All right, guys. Goodbye. Hate you, Rances.
Peace.
I'm going to start over.
Is it because you said kind of thing?
Yes. Wait, I didn't notice it, but I really tried really hard not to say and stuff like that. Did you hear any of the times?
During this whole
Yeah.
time? Yeah. I actually repeated it back to you. You didn't even notice. You just kept going right
Was it a lot?
No, it wasn't that much.
It wasn't that much? Okay. Now Ash is like, whenever I say and stuff like that to her, she's like, "Oh yeah, and stuff like that." I'm like, "Fuck you." That's why I don't tell you things.
You said, kind of thing. So it's like whatever, stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, stuff like that and kind of things. and you were like, yeah, because
Yeah, exactly, man. You're right. You get it. You get it. It's stuff like that.
I feel like you really know me, man.
You're getting here, man. These. All right, fuck it.